Hello everybody and welcome to this 1v1 game between Orange Pest and Elpern on Ploiesti Outskirts. I am joined by the one and only WhiteFlashReborn, the creator of this map, who's going to be telling us a little bit about its features and what it's bringing to the 1v1 map pool that is new. How are you, WhiteFlash?
I'm doing outstanding, Stormless. The Ploiesti Outskirts is an entirely unique design basically made from a blank piece of paper. There's a unique roundabout cutoff system using VPs on two corners are some of the big features, as well as these large buildings with three very distinct entrances and exits that put you to totally different places of the map from one building, as well as these big oil tankers, which are kind of scattered around. They're sight blockers, they're big objects to maneuver around, but they can also blow up, not harming units, of course, because this is still a competitive map, but they're just a unique object in the map. And if you go on the far left or right, you can see these really huge tanks. They're these awesome objects I've never seen in a map before, and they're perfect for this one.
Nice. It looks like a very cool map. We were talking a little bit just before the start of this game, and we can see the refineries and the smoke pumping out of the funnels in the distance, which gives the map a nice real feel. It looks like there's everything's going on in the environment whilst this battle's taking place. Everyone's still at work, which is always good to see. WhiteFlash, before we get involved into this replay, obviously there will be some people, I'm sure, we don't know why they exist, but I'm sure they do, who don't know who you are. So WhiteFlashReborn is the person responsible for making maps such as Crossroads and Nexus. You'll be seeing these maps all over the 1v1 tournaments that are taking place in Company of Heroes at the moment. They're some of the best competitive 1v1 maps Company of Heroes 2 has ever had. I think it's fair to say. So, a very, very prominent map maker in the community. And Ploiesti Outskirts is obviously the newest addition to his portfolio. And that's part of the reason why we're having a look at it today. Just having a little look at how the competitive players go toe-to-toe on a new map like this. They'll be perhaps unfamiliar with it. I think, actually, have they done a lot of map testing for you on this map, or are they fairly fresh at this point?
This replay, so Elpern had played a few games on it. At this point, Orange Pest is coming in fresh. So the testing is kind of initiated by Elpern at my request. He's been helping out quite a bit, and Orange is new, but people have been playing this more and more. There's been a lot of action on this map because I've been kind of pushing people to play it, and people seem to be enjoying it. And frankly, I'm really excited about this design. I haven't been this excited about a map design in a long time because of how unique it is, and the games I've been seeing so far have just been awesome.
That's cool. It's a very interesting map, and of course we'll point out the elephant in the room straight away, which is that the VPs are cutoffs. So they are actually cutoffs which you can use. Am I right in saying that? You can actually cut off some of the base if you capture a strategic point and a victory point.
Yeah, that's right.
Brutal. Sorry, just losing the grenade. I promise you, this is a high-level game.
Yeah, no question about that.
You will be entertained. Stick around.
You shall be. Yeah, no, the VPs being cutoffs it's not usual, but it's a little bit complicated. But there's like these the buildings give the defensive players standoff options. The standoff option is near a cutoff that it changes the dynamics for the defending player, but the offending player can also use these buildings to quickly kind of what I'm calling teleport faster to those cutoffs. And the other cutoffs where the VPs are sort of further out in the map, so there's less incentive to go to them. But because they're VPs, they're a target nonetheless, and it just kind of works out that this mixture of having VPs as cutoffs and then the standoff buildings where the other cutoffs are, it just seems to work. And we've had enough testing thus far to validate some of this design.
That's good, as long as you've tested it, because not everybody has tested things when they're released into the world of Company of Heroes 2, so it is a good job that
it happens.
Yeah, but VPs are interesting because VPs, I think, at least how I've seen them traditionally, are a way to artificially pull players to areas of the map they may not otherwise go. So you see this obviously when people play Annihilation games and there's no VPs, that, you know, sometimes you never see them go to the parts of the map where VPs would normally be. So it's nice, actually. I always like this VP spread across the center of the map because it promotes a wide style of gameplay where you have a huge front line to defend, and that means there's a lot of kind of probing from units normally. There's a lot of like diving behind the lines, and that I think is very interesting. One of my other favorite maps is Famenville Approach that does this, and I think this is it looks slightly bigger. Am I right in saying that?
In the width direction, I think it's probably the same, but from base to base, I think it's closer because the one of the things about this map is I wanted a closer feel on this map. After making Nexus, it felt a little big, and I was going kind of in the opposite direction of that. If you consider Crossroads in the middle, this map is tighter, and you're going to see that as tanks start to get onto the field and vehicles. The base proximity is close, and like you've seen so far, there's just been action all across the map the whole time. Yeah, that's part of the dimensions of it.
It's producing a lot of, you know, good infantry engagements, and I noticed that those buildings straight from the start have been used widely, you know, just to kind of speed up the movement through the map. So yeah, it's really cool. We'll just do a little bit of talk about the game at the moment as well, so everyone knows what to expect. Orange Pest has gone in with urban defense tactics, so maybe we'll see some of those awesome buildings turned into the forward headquarters, and Elpern's gone for that classic lightning war. So we're expecting to see tons of G43s on those grenadiers as they go around the map, and that should make them pretty decent against the penal battalions. Or he can blob them up in three squad battalions, which is also very effective against single penal battalions.
Yeah, that's a classic move for sure. And as you've seen, Orange Pest has been using quite a lot of satchel charges this game to try to drive off units that are and he's been having some success with it so far, but he's got to watch out because Elpern's been playing mines like he's getting paid for it.
Yeah, we just see him laying a Talamine there. Not sure if that was seen, actually. There were Soviet engineers there, perhaps just at the sight range, so potential that was spotted.
Yeah,
we
possibly.
can normally tell if the Minesweeper upgrade starts going, but that hasn't happened, so maybe
yeah, or if he throws a grenade on it with his shocks, that'd be an option too, if he wanted to get rid of it fast, although he has no vehicle.
We'll keep our eyes on that, because that's a really good Talamine position, I think.
Yeah, that wide entrance to the north and south base is nice because it gives you a lot of room to kind of breathe as you come out. But vehicles tend to come, you know, if the action's in the center, they come straight to the center. That Talamine could be devastating.
Yeah. We should just do a little update on what's going on at the moment. So obviously with Orange Pest playing as the Soviets, and he did go for tier 1 at the start. So he was a bit slow to get infantry out on the field. He didn't go for conscripts either, so just double engineers. And I think that meant he was suffering a bit of a loss in map control at the start. Elpern just running around with these grenadiers, even having lost one, doing very well. But that's starting to change now because, of course, the tier 1 loadout is very powerful from Soviets. And this is a really interesting thing, though. He went for shock troops. Now, this map looks very open to me. I can only think that he maybe wants the smoke grenade for the MG, but it's an interesting choice to see the shock troops here. This is probably just the kind of testing you're looking for.
Yeah, so as part of some of the testing, I've been getting feedback from a lot of players too, and the center is open, but the sides give you a surprising number of close quarters combat options, especially around the VPs with those big hedgerows and that tank. And even around the buildings where you can sit a unit behind the building, quickly occupy it, and pop out on another side in an unexpected spot. You can actually use close quarters units even though the map feels open. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting that you can do that. Because how I'd be seeing it, at least, is that those units would suffer greatly. You know, just
it's
the
possible.
nature of them. we'll see how it goes.
Well, like you're saying too, shock troops. they have smoke grenades all around. They're scary as hell, you know, in close quarters. So all you need to do is distract with another unit, and if some shots can get behind them, MG, or catch someone off guard, they just shred everything. And it looks like we got a T-70 coming out from Orange Pest as he falls back from the center here as well.
That's right. First vehicle of the game, a T-70. Now, the Talamine was swept in the center by Orange Pest a second ago. He did see it, so both players went for the Minesweeper upgrade. I don't think we've seen any Soviet mines tripped yet, but Orange Pest just laying some in the west. And the map, I actually think this is a really good thing about a map, White Flash, is when you see it change hands very quickly. I feel that, you know, when you force a player back and you get that nice big retreat and you see the map going like all red and then all blue, then it kind of shows that, you know, that the map is big enough to facilitate really good strategic moves, that there's not this standoff in the center where, you know, both players are just firing shots and volleying each other like it's tennis. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's room to actually force the opponent back, and they have to
100%.
really pull back, and then you get the whole map back. And that's very interesting, because I think it plays the resource game in a cool way, where you're not certain of how your resource situation's going. You're not certain of what your opponent really has, and it's hard to predict sometimes. So
yeah, the map should reward the player who's being aggressive, and it should reward the player that's not camp. And when you design the cutoffs in such a way that if you camp, you're basically opening yourself up to lose a lot of area and a lot of resources. I mean, that's how COH2, the kernel of all COH, was intended. It was intended to reward strategic, aggressive play using cutoffs, using, you know, unique map design, and that's what we're trying to achieve here at a competitive level.
Well, that is looking good so far, you'll be pleased to know. Tier 3's coming up in the base. Support armor core for Elpern. T-70's got control of the middle, and we expect dominant unit there. We had some Panzer Grenadiers come out onto the field. And Orange Pest back tech down to Tier 2, so can assume perhaps either going for some suppressive platform of the Maxim, or perhaps an AT gun.
Probably looking for an AT gun. I suspect that he suspects, given the map control early on, and he hasn't seen a pack, he hasn't seen any units from Tier 2, and it's kind of traditional to go straight for a Tier 3 if you go Tier 1, depending on how strong your position is. And honestly, Orange Pest is looking real strong on the map now. He's about to have both fuels.
That's right. White Flash, also a great caster as well as a great map maker, has very well spotted that Elpern has skipped a tier, so Elpern's rush here for Tier 3, and then we assume there's going to be a Tiger in the late game, perhaps.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Another thing to keep your eyes on, to the viewers, is keep one eye on the TAC map on the bottom left, because you're going to see players move to those cutoffs and see giant swaths of territory basically removed from their possession, and all you need to do is take the VIP cutoff and the opposing cutoff, and they lose everything except for the base connection resources. So they're going to be constantly taking advantage of that, I suspect. Actually, we've already seen quite a bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting map design there, because there's a commander called Encirclement in Company of Heroes 2 that does very, very well on maps like this, where for, you know, your 80 munitions, you can cut the supply line, basically neutralize a strategic point. And of course, then you'll have quick capping with your vehicles for a fuel cost. It's like 40 fuel. So the points decap very quickly, and then you can unleash pure hell in the encirclement ability itself. And when you've got two cutoffs outside the base, now White Flash, one of these is a VP. You cannot build a cache on top of it to prevent that. So really, hey, I'm just throwing it out there. If anyone wants to try encirclement on this map, you've only got one strategic point to focus on, really.
Sounds like an option, yeah. No, absolutely. And the proximity to bases, like if that were to happen, and then a player sees it in advance and he wants to fall back, he can, and it doesn't take him very long to get back onto the map. So I'm really hoping that all options will be on the table.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's a good point. If an ability like Encirclement was to hit, you could kind of quickly get back into base. Here, by the way, we see the arrival of the Ostwind, and the Ostwind goes straight for the shock troops. Will be really, really good if this unit does go down. It's a huge investment from Orange Pest from the start of the game. The 80 gun is so late out of tier 2, and there it goes. Oh! The squad is wiped, and Elpern is not even happy with that. He wants to go for the Penal Battalion as well.
Yeah, this is a fantastic play. He sees kind of the tiers and the units, and I don't know. I'd be a little bit skeptical of going in like that, because like we saw, he swept a mine close to the base early on, so he might be rolling the dice a little bit there, assuming there isn't another landmine there. But yeah, it paid off.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as calling it a great play for the reasons that you've mentioned. You have to be a little more aware in Company of Heroes of the risks you take when when running tanks into areas without scouting for mines.
Now,
but
see on the right side.
Off.
Yes, it did. See on the right side, see the Panzergrens with the Shreks? They were waiting to ambush that T-70 if it came around that wall. This area around this building is going to be really interesting to see stuff happen.
All right, well,
and if he had the presence of mind, he could hop in. Oh, he is right now. And then hop back through. See that? Elpern on the right. Get a couple of free shots. Pop back in. Oh, yes. This is exactly how this building is supposed to be used. It's absolutely beautiful and totally unique to this map.
I just missed the pop. But, yeah, we can see what happens. In through one door, jump out, hit the T-70, and...
The reason it's unique is because the building is so large. You don't see buildings this large, especially on 1v1 maps, that work. And it's, I'm so pumped about this design.
So tell me a little bit, now we got the T-34 on the field. This is going to be rivaling the Ostwind. There's not much AT, by the way, from Elpern, only in the Panzer Shreks at the moment. No tier 2, no chance of that pack. So this is an interesting defensive strategy from Elpern. I'm not sure what he's going to plan to do from here. We'll watch it very carefully. So obviously you said a little bit earlier about the base-to-base distance of the map. So how does this work with artillery? Has that been tested? And what's the... Do you find...
Yeah, no, it's... So the... Arty on any 1v1 map is scary because of proximity. Like, there actually aren't any 1v1 maps that I can think of that, like, a base Arty piece can't... All you gotta do is go a little bit outside your base, and you're basically firing into the base. But after seeing so many games on a map like Crossroads, which already also has proximity really close, not too worried about it. You know, the cost of going into Arty is very expensive, and there are lots of ways to get rid of them. There's so many ways to approach the bases too, and the entrances are so open. It's not like it would be hard to run a vehicle in there from a side and kill it. I just haven't seen any issues with it yet, but we'll definitely keep our eye on it.
Sure, because I think, you know, when you look at a map like Faymanville Approach, and, you know, there used to be a lot of problems with things like the Calliope or Katyushas, pretty much being able to base-to-base barrage, and the entrances are not actually very wide, so, you know, I think actually what you've done here is good, because there's always multiple exits from the base. It's not like Faymanville, where if you leave on the right-hand side, it's quite pointless in terms of where you're going.
Right. This gives you options. Yeah, that's the goal. It's one of the many goals while making a competitive 1v1. Is like, I want the players to have options in a lot of different scenarios, especially in the early and mid game. Late game, the map just generally looks like the moon is flat, everything's destroyed. But you want to give them options in the early and mid game, and mid game is when Arty can start wrecking havoc.
Sure. How many spawnable buildings are on this map?
2. Just 2. So there's the 2 in the center, and that's it.
Okay, that's interesting. Is that like, do you know what kind of like the average is for spawnable buildings on a 1v1 map?
Oh, it's got to be something like 3 or 4 maybe. Or it could be around 2. Crossroads. Well, no, Crossroads got more than 2. It's probably like 3 or 4, honestly.
Because I would think that, I mean, would you, like, have you tried maps maybe of, like, on the outskirts of the map? Would that help promote commanders like Partisans or, you know, that kind of thing?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you could put some buildings on the outside. The big thing is, because the one of the reasons I think I can get away with so few buildings is because of the exits to them. Like, you have access to either the trench in between the base, or the cutoff, or the center of the map, all from one building. They almost serve as like function for multiple buildings because they're so large and have so many exits.
Right.
That's the idea, anyways. I could be wrong, and that's part of the drill. Else, developing these maps with the community is half the fun. And as people glean new pieces of information, or as we get more data, anything's on the table for changes, because the goal is always just to make as good a competitive map as possible. That's the end goal every time.
It's good to hear. It's the right attitude to have, for sure. Let's pay a little more attention to the game that's going on at the moment as well. So we've just seen a Stug 3 appear on the field. It's going to be backing up the Ostwind, of which I'm continually surprised is still on the field.
He's been doing great maneuvers with that thing.
And that's going to be the measure against the T-34. And actually, yeah, things looking a lot better for Orange Pest now. Now that he's got the T-34 out, now that he's got the AT gun, he has had a lot more control. The infantry doing very well. We just, we never saw many of those G43s from Elpern on the Grenadiers, and of course he's lost a couple of squads in this game, so bit of a shame really, because maybe he would have had a little more field presence, a bit more field dominance if he's able to go toe-to-toe with the penal battalions. That hasn't happened though. Skipping tier 2, had to invest so much in the Panzerschrecks. He hasn't had a huge munitions income really, because just lack of territory and spending it on minesweepers and flamethrowers and things that don't work at range.
Right, and Orange Pest is also doing a good job. You can see on the right side, he grabbed that cutoff as soon as he got the opportunity. And Elpern's been throwing a lot of grenades. Some have been effective, some haven't. But you can see Elpern destroying another landmine on the left there. And he just basically sent his entire force to take the left because he saw the cut on the right. Looks like he just thought it wasn't worth retaking.
It's very difficult because Orange Pest is booby-trapping the territories. So it almost forces the Wehrmacht player to always have that Minesweeper squad available, at the front lines. Otherwise, the Oster, with the 4-man squads, is just wasting units. This was a great, by the way, satchel from Orange Pest, catching catching one of the last 2 Grenadiers.
And one of the oil tanks went up and smoked too. That was awesome.
That was actually a really, really good timing prediction from Orange Pest.
Yeah, Orange Pest is I think at this point he's known as a very, very high level player, and that satchel just highlights that fact. Man, Elpern could really use another pair of Panzerschrecks on that other Pigren squad, although he does need one without Schrecks to handle all the penal battalions. Another landmine goes off.
Yeah, you can see he's finding it so difficult. He's just brought out another squad of pioneers. That's 3 squads now, and of course assume that the other one's going to be a minesweeper, because otherwise how on earth is he going to be able to take the territory that he needs? This is a really good there's a really good strategy from Orange Pest just in general right now, because for a map like this where that there's going to be a lot of infantry walking all over the field, then of course having all these mines down there just makes it so difficult for enemy units to advance. Now we're seeing the KV-2 come onto the field.
Oh yeah.
And that's going to make things even harder for Elpern. It's going to make it even harder for him to push up the map.
One of my favorite tanks in COH2. It's such a unique, strange-looking vehicle with that turret, but it's so sick in this game. And scary, too. It's about to do big damage to that Stug. Turns the turret. Is he going to get a shot up? He does. Oh! Stug goes down like Nixon. That was a fantastic first shot.
Down like Nixon.
And
I'm gonna try avoid making any Trump impeachment comments, right?
That's too easy, That's low-hanging fruit. Honestly, Elpern's in trouble here because he only has Panzerschrecks, and Panzerschrecks against maybe one of the greatest anti-infantry tanks in the entire game, probably not going to be the best choice, but he's about to get enough fuel for another stuff.
Yeah, the strategy from Elpern, I think, has not been so great. Wehrmacht has never really been a faction you can do these amazing, impressive things with. It's not like USF where you can just skip the tier and, you know, or even...
fast teching, yeah.
Do you
fast
know what I
teching
mean?
is hard. Yeah,
Soviets
fast teching
are
is pretty hard with Austin.
Yeah, so, you know, like the Soviets and stuff and the US can do it great, but Austin, you kind of need tier 2. I always think that's, it's so key for vision, for the AT gun, probably still the best AT gun in the game.
Yeah, the pack. See, this is another great example. He's using that building. You can actually get in the building and fire as if someone's coming out of their base or going into yours. You can use that building and fire at the flank of whatever's coming in, and he's using that to great effect right now against those tanks. He can reload, pop in, fire. This is awesome. See, this is the kind of play. It's so sick, and it's all around the use of the building, like how buildings work and code. God, I love it. I gotta tell you, after working hard on a map like this and seeing it pay off with like the design being used exactly as you intend, it's 10 out of 10. Oh no! Oh! Oh my god.
Oh, geez.
That's an absolutely absurd satchel charge.
I couldn't even cast that. Now the KV2's going down though.
KV2! He's got 4 Shreks on the KV2!
Yeah, the shot bounces from the Stug 3. There's good suppression on the Panzer Grenadiers. But the Stug 3, I think, is right to go in here. And is right to try and get this final blow. Satchel charge from the Penal Battalions does not work. Stug, you can see the turret just tracking, but it's not quite getting it. There we go. A little bit of a turn from the KV2. The Stug 3 is rewarded. And Elpern clinging onto this game.
Wow.
We don't know how.
Those were sick plays. No, that was fantastic. And Elpern did pick up his Panzer Shrek with a Vet 3 Grenadier in the center, and it looks like he's trying to take advantage and push into the center. The Ostman's going to have to hold off all the infantry at the same time, and that Stug's in big trouble with the T-34.
Yeah, I think the Stug deserves to die in glory here. It's actually still doing very well, but it's definitely done its job and has a very good payoff. Might get a final shot off here on the T-34. It deflects
Got
another.
that one. Oh!
Nice try.
Yeah, that was very valiant effort. I think that kept Elpern in the game, destroying that KV2, because if the KV2 gets healed and he destroyed so much infantry with that satchel charge, that would be possibly unable to come back from... Elpern probably unable to come back from that, but he did get the KV2 just in time, and he also stole an allied anti-tank gun in the meantime, so doesn't need tier 2 now.
Strategies to the max. By the way, we should point out, if the viewers have not been keeping track of the VPs, we haven't been talking about it as much, but Elpern's taken a huge hit to VPs in this game. That's just due to the amount of map control that Orange Pest has and has had, because the game with the mines and you know, with the swarm of penal battalions that have been uncontested, which has allowed him to dominate that. We see Orange Pest, by the way, in the chat right now. I can only assume, given the timing of this, that he was not happy about losing the KV2.
Well, you know, when people first play maps, I give everybody a lot of room to kind of breathe. By the way, Elpern taking a cutoff on the left side, fantastic. Yeah, I don't expect people to love everything the first time they play it. It'd be really weird if they did. Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay sometimes.
We're gonna be okay.
But if you did read that and hear that the garrisons are broken, I do have some news for you, and that is that they can be used by both teams. So use it yourself.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Oh no, Peel's on the right. Trip. They're gonna take a burst, and the MG42 is gonna make it. Oh, just barely. That was another thing I haven't talked about enough, is there was an early version of this map that had terrible retreat paths, and I spent like probably a day and a half like drastically overhauling the map to get great retreat paths, and you just saw a result of that with those penal battalions getting away, and the Osman goes down and the T-34 goes down simultaneously.
Yeah, not really sure how I feel about that. Orange Pest, by the way, still has a huge resource lead, way ahead in VPs. Elpern, I think, is still kind of just clinging on here and hoping for the best. He has very little fuel and not much that he can do, so...
yeah, he did get another wipe. Oh! He just picked... Oh my god. Okay, Elpern wiped an MG, picked it up with a weak Gren squad, lost the single Gren with a Shrek, and took the... If that wasn't all plain, there's a lot going on.
I don't know what the urgency was to pick up the Maxim there, but...
You know, Elpern's not interested in G4-3s, but he's doing a lot of damage with these grenades now. Orange Press is just not able to keep up. There's too much happening on the map.
Yeah, there's been some really good plays with the Panzer Grenadiers. They may even get the last Penal Battalion. It's long range, and good job he stands still there to try and get the increased accuracy off. But the shock troops are back on the field for Orange Pest, and they're going to be really, really good against the Panzer Grenadiers with the Shrek upgrades. Penal Battalions in the west, they're just flanking the MG, forcing the MG42 to retreat. And now that AT gun that Elpern's worked so hard for is just left alone, defenseless.
Yeah, he's gonna be
he needs that
now.
He needs that.
Yeah, that was
AT
fantastic
gun.
play. That Penal just held the entire side by himself and got the AT gun back. That was a great play by Orange.
So
both players. I was gonna say both players are like in the Stone Ages right now after all these vehicle deaths.
Yeah, it's this is good to see though. I mean, when you get to this level, it's quite intense. Both players have lost a lot. We've seen veterancy get wiped. We've seen players leave themselves completely, defenseless in terms of their builds. I'm pretty sure Orange Pest is saving perhaps for another KV2 right now. Whether that or not, that's the best decision he's ever made. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if once he sees an Ostwind's out, the KV2 is probably the right choice. He doesn't see like a Stug or even a Panzer IV would be a little bit of a problem. But if he's getting another Ostwind, that means he's totally leaning on Inf to do the AT, and a KV2 is fantastic for that.
The KV2 is good, but the KV2 is slow. And I think when you've got VPs spread as wide as this, the KV2 possibly won't perform very well against things that are more mobile from tier 3, like the Ostwind, which could effectively just travel from VP to VP around the KV2. And
yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah,
I guess,
so
I mean...
If I see people build this kind of late game tank without a medium tank, I actually would normally say in most games I've cast that is not a strong build. We'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I feel like Orange Pest has got Elpern so close to death, he wants to just close the game out, but he can't because, just like you're saying, he's got the mobility, and, I mean, that looks like it's keeping him in the game for sure.
Yeah, and Orange Pest actually can't do anything until he gets that tank out. So it's an interesting choice. Personally, I feel he'd be better to just save up a little bit of manpower and get 2 T-34s out. But we'll see if he can resist the temptation.
I don't know. That KV2's awful good looking. This is gonna be tricky, and Elpern is gonna try to take back that left. And that machine gun, he's got 2 machine guns down the center, trying to cover the entirety of the center with those 2, and it looks like it's working for now. Orange Pest just doesn't have enough units to flank, and even if he did, he would need units to go left side here.
Yeah, and Orange Pest has decided to spread out a little bit. He went for the VP in the west. Panzer Grenadiers with a great dodge of the satchel charge. They, I think, are going to lose that engagement against the Penal Battalions. But Elpern actually holding the VPs at the moment, so even with a recapture here, it's not going to start the ticker again. And that's the big deal. If Elpern can just hold on to those 2 VPs and start to build his resources back up, then I think he's still in with a chance. I actually think
yeah. With the amount of VPs he has, he's got time. Time is on his side, and I think it's apparent too with the resources. He's getting a KV2, I'm pretty sure. And I think you're right in pointing out that might not be the right choice, specifically because of mobility. We're about to find out, though. That I'm looking at the unit composition, top left, top right. Everyone's got vet for the most part. I mean, Orange Pest does have an anti-tank gun, so if he uses that right, the Oswin shouldn't be that big of a deal. But 4 Pigren squads is pretty scary, especially 2 Shreks and vet. And actually, the machine guns as well. He's got a trip vet, MG42 in the center. I mean, he's decided to go the right side this time. There's nobody here to stop him. The Shrek'd up Grens have wisely decided to go home.
Yeah, actually, this is good from Orange Pest. So the KV2 on the right-hand side, there's some infantry going there, and also going to cap the VP on the left, and that's good. It's good that he's trying to get the 2 VPs down as quick as possible, and the fact that it's wide is going to put that extra pressure on Elpern rather than taking a center one, which is closer to the base. It's good so far. I like it, but he's not going to get that cap. Oh, he will get the VP on the left-hand side.
Nice
Elpern
also
probably could have avoided that.
Yeah, agreed. And it almost looks like, well, wait a minute. We've got a stud coming out from Elpern. I mean, it's funny. We were talking about Artie early on, like if maybe Artie's like could be a problem on this map. Orange Pest could have gotten a Katusha too and done terrible damage, I feel like, to some of this infa, and he's decided to skip it. It's almost like tunnel vision sometimes when you're playing, like you're about to get a Tiger. Even if it's not the right choice, you have to get that Tiger. I do that, plenty in auto match.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I think Elpern's got the right idea here, because the Panzer Shreks actually can do really well still. They just have to utilize the map. It's a slow unit. Eventually, the Stug 3 will start to penetrate.
Oh my god.
And,
KV2 did so much damage to that Stug. AT gun turns. That Stug in the center is in a little bit of trouble here. Misses a shot. This Oswin saves him just in time.
Actually, the Stug is really good at just tanking shots from the KV2. And then, do you know what I mean? The Panzer Shreks and the Panzer Grenadiers are doing the bulk of the work against the KV2's front armor. They penetrate way more often, it seems. You've got to be really careful with that unit. Vet 3 Panzer Grenadiers. The Stug is a little bit defenseless in the center. And there it goes, down to the KV2.
Dude, that was a sick shot. Yeah. And then Orange Press wisely grabs right VIP to get the cutoff. See, this is a great example. Like, he needs resources, and he needs a VIP. Take the right VIP cutoff, you get a VIP, and you cut the opponent. Beautiful. Love it. Although he is going to have to get out of town. He's building another engineer. It looks like he's trying to just build up his forces so he can repair vehicles absurdly quickly. I don't know. I'd get another tank. He's getting 90 fuel, right? Like a T-34 would be better than an engineer right now.
Yeah, this this to me is not a comeback strategy, because you can't rely on a slow tank that can't really cap.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? To take over the field like this, especially when there's just such resistance to it already. Look, it can't even push the field without taking near half health damage. So, is Orange Pest giving his comments of support?
Yeah, no, that's good feedback. Good to know. I'm saying, man, if you had some Artie, like, those peak runs in the center would evaporate to some well-placed Katusha shots. Machine guns would also be an option here. And like you were saying, the mobility of the KV2 is just not, you could sit it on a side, but now you've got to worry about the rest of the map to try to contend with it.
Sure. I mean, even at this point, this isn't an unwinnable game for Orange Pest. I think at this point, maybe he's not so level-headed. Maybe people disagree with me here. The KV2 is a sole vehicle on the field. It's not mobile. It's not even killing infantry that effectively, and it's getting countered pretty much immediately when it moves up the field by Panzer Shreks, and now even the Pioneers are carrying Panzer Shreks. So yeah. Not a great choice. Elpern, I think at the moment, actually, despite being so far down on VPs 10 minutes ago, is easily the front runner in this game right now.
Yeah, I think Elpern correct. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think this is just like a little bit of a lesson for people who, you know, are playing Company of Heroes under pressure. That, you know, you really need to think about the map, and you really need to think about how quickly can you get everywhere on the map. How you know, can you cap when you get everywhere on the map? These things are important.
Yeah, the really high level 1v1 players, you know, VPs are everything. Like guys like Devin will actually go for VPs before resources sometimes, because he knows if he can surprise his opponent by bleeding him early, the time's on his side. Like, it gives you other advantages on top, you know, just trying to, you know, keep up. You want to keep ahead.
Unless you're Von Ivan.
Well, that's a, you know, Von Ivan's American, so he's my boy, so. But yes, obviously.
Von always challenges the norms.
And I love him for it. That's right.
Well, I have to say, WhiteFlash, so far from everything I've seen of the map, it already holds itself as a decent 1v1 map, and I could definitely see it working competitively. If you're going to ask me at this stage, I would love to see some really wide spawnable buildings, which would create intense annoyance for the opposing player. And also, you know, I always feel like there has to be a reason in this game that you should blow up buildings. Do you know what I mean? To demo charge buildings on the outside of the map, to you know, to spawn from them, to hold them even, so that your opponent can't spring out. But it also gives you like a last, perhaps, attempt at capping VPs and playing those, you know, those interesting strats. So
it adds dimensions to the game. Yeah.
Hey, it's just my opinion from having seen the game so far. Is that I think it also allows more commanders to be viable. But I'm sure there will be people in the comment section of this video who will agree or disagree.
Well, it's part of the drill when you're doing design work and you're doing it for a lot of people. You're not going to make everyone happy, number one, but number two is you've got to use your own filter as a map designer and your experience to sort of recognize and test out the good from the bad, the bias from the unbiased, and the quality as much as possible. Oh, a little bit of indirect fire here did great damage. Seatman, I'm telling you, if he had some indirect fire here, I think that would have been absolutely killer this match. Could be wrong, but
yeah, like the Katyusha's still one of my favorite Soviet units. You get a clump of panzer grenadiers like this in the center. 2 seconds later, they don't exist anymore.
I mean, imagine if the KV-2 was engaging the Stug on its own. That would be a totally different game. He is starting to reestablish himself here in the center. Elpern doesn't have that many VIPs, so if Orange can just hold an area and then force a second area, he could still come back, but he's in retreat on most sectors.
I don't think it's at all possible at this moment.
Yeah.
Because you see the response here, the KV-2s come over to the left. It doesn't have the vision. It needs the engineers to be there, you know, really, really short line of sight. I should just try to get over to Soviet so you can see a bit. You know, but it's on its own. And, you know, it's a high maintenance unit. But now the middle and the right are never going to be captured without support of the KV-2. So, as far as I'm concerned, this game is going to be Alpern's. Yep.
Yeah.
I hate calling it early, but...
Yeah, you gotta call a spade a spade.
Oh, what a great save there from the Stug 3 with the heat shell. Manages just to get away, but he's not had enough. He's got to go back in for more. He's got a little bit of sight from the Pioneers to help land those long-range shots. And the 80 gun from the Soviets just missing a shot that would have taken down the Stug 3, so we're very lucky on the retreat.
Another thing Elpern's been doing this game that we haven't talked about enough is that MG42 has been doing so much damage. It's got 19 kills, but it's been doing so much suppressive damage. Like, Elpern comes out and he doesn't have a flank setup, or he doesn't have smoke, or he doesn't have indirect fire, or he doesn't have any tools to deal with it, and Elpern's placing these just right.
Yeah, he's doing well. We even just see there, you know, manually selecting the squads either side of the arc, and it's a big arc on a map like this, so the timing of that is crucial to make sure you suppress both squads with each burst. So Elpern doing very well. He didn't have a great start to the game with control of his units, losing all of his grenadiers, but he's picked it back up with this awesome army of Panzer Grenadiers.
Yep, that'll happen. And again, like, both of these guys are really high-level players. They're both, like, super competent. But even Elpern only having played a few games, like, these guys haven't played much on this. And I'll be very interested to see in the coming weeks and months, like, how players really adapt to this map and find new strategies. They might even find stuff that's, like, totally broken and we got to fix. That's fine, too. It's part of the... I mean, I'm just happy to see what we're seeing here early on in development.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely producing great games. Hopefully everyone that's watching this video agrees from what they've seen today that this is a map that is worthy of being in the 1v1 arena. Interesting to say that if you have any feedback, then of course from watching this, do leave some comments in the YouTube channel. I'm sure WhiteFlash will be checking that out. But also, if you check the description of this video, you'll also see links to the map and links to other works from WhiteFlashReborn. So you can go on the Steam page, leave a comment there as well. Play test it yourself. Always interesting to see games from all kinds of players, not just top level. You know, but people who play casual, like Orange Pest here.
Oh, jeez.
But do give feedback. It's super appreciated, and it helps people like WhiteFlashReborn create awesome maps like this for the competitive scene and everyone else to enjoy. But yeah, WhiteFlash, I do think this is a really good map. I like that the VPs draw attention. Like, you absolutely have to be drawn to the outsides of the map. You know, for reasons that this is how you cut off your opponent's fuel, and also, you know, for the VPs themselves. I think the center is really nice because obviously that VP, as the game goes on and the cover starts to disappear, obviously there's a lot of medium cover, but those green cover sections disappear and things like the MG42 become really, really potent, and they require, I think, a more diverse army to overcome. So actually I would have hoped to have seen mortars with smoke shells dropping down, or maybe more smoke from the shock troops, more long range from the Soviet AT gun to maybe you know, force those defensive emplacements to retreat. And actually, you know, I think that when you have an open map like that, we will start to see that type of gameplay come in. It has awesome potential. The sight blockers. I don't think we get to see enough of the sight blockers there, really, in the kind of flanks I was maybe expecting to see once the, do you know what I mean? Once the walls came down, but but yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things, like, it's nice when maps develop, right? So at the start of a game, you're very restricted with where your infantry can move. It's nice here because you have the buildings where they can pop in and out very quickly and do cool things there, whether they're maneuvering territory or they're jumping into, you know, fire the Shreks at tanks and just, you know, hop in and out. But as the map has gone on and the carnage has got, you know, greater and greater, then, you know, actually it's opened up new avenues. The infantry can move more freely and the style of gameplay changed. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, that's one of the, you know, coolest parts about Company of Heroes in general, is the evolution of any sort of environment as the battle goes on. Like, you change the environment. You know, if you want to destroy that building to seal off that teleporting stuff that everyone's doing, you know, destroy it. If you want to get rid of hedgerows, do it. Cover's optional as it gets destroyed and rebuilt. And I mean, what you said about map development, you know, Crossroads was not made in a day, right? That map was made over many, many months of thorough testing. And the key to me is, when you first make a map, you want a strong foundation. If foundationally and fundamentally you get good flow, good retreat paths, decent cover, good, you know, there's this list of stuff you're trying to accomplish. But if the foundation is strong, it's only a matter of time till you get a great map. Yeah,
I totally agree with you. As always, your kind of philosophy when it comes to map making is on point. And it's good that you're actually open to trying new things, you know, and actually listening to the feedback of people who, hey, look, I'm gonna say it. You're not a top player, right? Like, you're not top 25.
How dare you? Yeah, no, of course.
Okay, so, you know, it's actually, you have to be accommodating to people who have these really different views. And actually, I know because, hey, like, the top I've been is around like 100 to 200, right? And that is not considered high. But
Right.
I know that there's a huge difference when you talk to the top level players, you know, the people in the top 10, the top 25, and they're telling you things about maps that you've never experienced before. And so
That's right.
you of course have to take that knowledge and somehow make it translate into good gameplay for them. So that is really cool that you can do that. I have a lot of respect for you and other map makers that really pull that off.
I appreciate it. And it's not just from high level players, but also I've been surprised over the last, couple years where casters, maybe not surprised because we used to do this back in COH2 too, but casters also have a unique kind of eye for different kinds of things on map. Like they look at the map a lot more than the players, because when the players are playing, you are hyper focused on the units and the things that stand out. You're not looking at like splats and splines and geometry and Company Heroes 2 is a beautiful game, and there's a lot of stuff missed in that people like casters or people that just watch the game see, and that can also make the map better. So everybody can contribute for sure.
Well, White Flash, if you have anything else to say before we wrap this one up, I'm sure that there'll be some people that are still watching this video at this point. But
I doubt it. Yeah. There is a Company of Heroes world builder Discord that I started months ago. Obviously, I'm not the only person making maps. There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time building maps, working together, and hopefully we could put that in the link below. And there's just a ton of maps all the way from 2s to 8 4v4s being made in there. If people want to go in there and look at other stuff, Company Heroes offers a lot. And one of the big parts about this game is that maps are entirely unique in Company Heroes. No RTS is as reliant on maps as this game is. And because of that, a big part of the fun of Company Heroes is working on them as a community. And it's just something we can all come together. Like, we have casts, we have the games themselves. And to me, mapping is one of those big things that community can come together and just have a good time with. So that Company Heroes Discord, hopefully we can put that in the link below. And I appreciate everybody's support over the years. Yeah, and you for casting this also, Stormless. Thanks for doing this.
No worries. You've also been very supportive to me when we've been running tournaments and so on. So more than happy to do this for you. But yeah, absolutely. Just to reiterate what you said, anyone that's interested, if you want to help with the play testing, just give feedback. You can do it in the comments section of the video, or you can head over to any of the Steam links in the description, which will take you to like the Steam page. You can leave comments there, and if there's anything else that WhiteFlash wants me to leave, it'll also be in the description, so do check that out. Thank you to Orange Pest and Alpan for giving us an entertaining game and some good feedback.
That's excellent feedback.
But yeah, that's going to be all for this cast. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, WhiteFlash, for joining me, and I hope to see everyone soon for the next episode of whatever it is.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.